think we're getting the appetizer.
Oh no, I told you, French wine, not the swill from Naples.
So I told William, if we don't get back to the French Riviera next month, I'll absolutely lose my mind.
What am I the only one who knows what time it is?
I book myself tables at all the best restaurants that meet alone. I buy myself fast cars just so I can drive them real fucking slow. I like my own company, I don't need it. I'm not always cold, I'm just good on my own, so good on my own. I've always been told one day
Okay, that's pretty funny. I want you to vote blue.
who changes my mind. If they come along, I won't think twice. 'Cause I already got a good thing with me. Yeah, I already got everything I need. The best things in life are already mine. Don't tell me that you got a good thing for me. 'Cause I already got a good thing for me. Yeah, I already done everything I dreamed.
Alright, everybody, I'm just getting started. I am an independent voter. I would like to talk about policy with everybody in the chat. Any comments are welcome as long as they are not racist or sexist. I don't care about opinions, I only care about facts. If you make a statement, I would like a source. If you have a source, I will look it up. I am on my computer right now, and I am perfectly willing to pull that source up for everyone to see. So if you are not afraid of everyone seeing the source, then everyone can see what source you are talking about.
Somebody who changes my mind. They come along, I won't think twice. 'Cause I already got
And just to get everybody going, I would like to define communism, because a lot of people are saying that Kamala is a communist. So just so that everybody understands what communism is, let me just pull up the definition of communism over here. Definition of communism. So right here we have the definition of communism, and it states that it is a political, economic, and philosophical ideology that aims to create a classless society where the means of production are owned and controlled by the public. I have not seen at any point where Kamala Harris has supported this, so I would say that this is a pretty debunked theory that Kamala Harris is communist. That being said, I hope everybody that's joining in is having a wonderful day.
Yeah, police! Yeah, we got a situation here.
Is there any policy that anybody wants to see first?
Do you know how much you cost me in damages? You'll never work in this town again.
They call me an American horror. What I gotta do to find a sober down to choke me. Time to hit it, sit down and get a little.
It's going pretty good, Cthulhu. How's it going with you?
Phone me hit on Thursday. I'll be there in 30 'cause the bitch is getting thirsty. Got you in a chokehold till you turn it down to blow a bag in my back out. Like I know the man 'cause he knows what to do. I'm a regular bitch. I'm a stone cold man.
little quiet. All right, let me turn up the volume a little bit. Actually, let me turn down desktop audio and unmute mic. How's that? How's that? More. He wants more. He wants more. All right. Let's see what I can do. All right, I'll just have to. I'll just have to turn up. I'll just have to speak up a little bit louder than I guess. I don't think I can really turn up the gain too much more. All right, so I was just defining communism because I've seen a lot of people calling Kamala Harris a communist, and so I want to debunk that little theory as the definition is pulled up right here. Communism is about the ownership of the means of production, and I have never seen Kamala Harris supporting the means of production being controlled by the public. But I'm very curious to see what everyone in the chat wants to discuss on policy. Also, please feel free to tap the little like button. It's free. Don't send me any gifts. Don't pay money. Just tap the little like button. Boost visibility. Really appreciate it. I have an echo. Do I still have the echo? I'm going to assume that the echo is gone. Alrighty. So I'm going to move right along. I'm going to bring over one of the bills that has been looked at that needs to be talked about. Because a lot of people like to talk about politics, and they're like, oh, you know, this politician supports this politician supports that. But they don't actually talk about real bills and what is inside of this bill. So I'm gonna talk about HR 1102, the Accountability and Transparency Act. And this is in relation to some foreign affairs. So here is the summary. You can see it for yourself. I'm going to say that right now I disagree with this bill. It says right here that the United States should withhold contributions to the United Nations Relief Agency and for other purposes. So Palestinians that have been displaced by the Middle Eastern conflict are seeking aid. The United Nations, which the United States is a founding member of, agreed to provide relief. And the United States says, you know what? We're not going to provide aid. Actually. So what do y'all think about that? All right, moving on. Here's the certification. So anything that describes any Israeli as an occupier or a settler is going to prevent a Palestinian from receiving aid. I'm still getting an echo. Then I need to turn down the gain, but then it'll be quiet. I'm not really sure how to fix this. How about now? Are you still getting an echo? Test. Test. Like what kind of echo? Like an echoey sound, or like an echo, like reverb echo, or like echo where it's like repeating over and over again? Okay, good. Sweet. All right, so I was just talking about the HR 1102, which is a bill that America has put forth by the House of Representatives that is preventing America from supporting aid to Palestinians. And in this bill, it specifically says that America shouldn't send aid to Palestinian refugees if the bill that is giving Palestinian refugees aid uses language that ignores, denies, or recognizes historic connection of Jewish people to the land of Israel. And I don't agree with that at all. Considering that the current Israeli population right now is actively committing harm against the Palestinian people. I don't care what your historic connection is if you are currently harming people. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments. And this is coming from somebody that is supporting Harris, by the way. This is just my biggest complaint against Harris. All right, I'm going to continue scrolling through so that you guys can continue reading. No recipient of UN RWA funds or loans is a member of or any ties to a foreign terrorist organization. That seems mostly fine. Otherwise engaged in terrorist activities. Again, mostly fine. This one, I'm in kind of disagreement with, and I'll explain in a second. It says UNRWA holds no accounts or other affiliations with financial institutions that the United States considers or believes to be complicit in money laundering and terror financing. So that means that if a country just is in political disagreement with America, we can say, oh, you're doing money laundering, and then not contribute. And we don't have to provide evidence because we can just say, oh, we believe it. We can just say, oh, we believe it, and then we don't have to provide any proof. There's no burden of proof when you use words like consider or belief. And that terminology, I feel, is very dangerous when we're talking about funding and international relations. I see there's a bunch of user and then a bunch of numbers in the chat that are typing away. These bots go crazy, so you know, hopefully they start telling on themselves real quick. Period of effectiveness. And then here's the report. And then furthermore, it then describes, do not endanger the security of Israel in any way. Why is the United States of America enacting safety measures for a foreign national? I want to question that. Just so that we know who the co-sponsors are, here is a list. all of the representatives that wrote this bill. Republican, 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 Republican. Republicans, more Republicans, Republicans, more Republicans, more Republicans, more Republicans. So every single co-sponsor of this bill was a Republican. Every single one. So this is not a bipartisan bill. Interesting. 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 And these are all facts. You can look them all up right here. Congress.gov, government website, tells you who votes on what. You can look up each and every one of these votes. Very interesting. I feel like if this was a act that is actually about transparency, that it would have mentioned something about the safety of Palestine a little bit more, instead of just calling it mandatory Palestine. I feel like, you know, there should be something if there's talking about anti-American and anti-Israel. Why is there nothing talking about the anti-Muslim rhetoric and incitement in this bill? So yeah, very interesting. Indeed, coconut. So it's pretty fair that I think that we should be talking about pro-Palestine, and I think that we need to be providing aid to Palestinian refugees. Is there another policy that anybody wants to talk about? So we can also talk about the economic debt under Trump. Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Net 10-year debt approved. CARES and other COVID relief. 3.6 trillion, but even if you get rid of that, that's still 4.8 trillion. Biden has a total debt increase of 4.3 trillion. So if we want to talk about the amount of debt for this country, then I would say that 4.8 is bigger than 4.3. I mean, simple math. Facts don't care about your opinions. They're not like us. They're not like us. And then once you do count COVID relief, that adds in another $3.6 trillion. And it would have been a lot less if he didn't bumble his way through the COVID relief. I do love this song.
Might write this for the docket. Tell a pop star quit hiding. Fuck a caption, won't action. No accident. I'm hands on. He fuck around, get polished. Fuck no rain girl while he was in jail. That's
Thanks for the likes, everyone. I love the engagement. But yeah, everybody likes to talk about how shitty Biden did as president, but this is a clear success that he did. And newsflash, everyone: Biden's not running for president. Kamala Harris is. I've also heard people say that Kamala Harris has no clear policies that she believes in, but she is pro-choice. It's a pretty clear policy that she believes in. She has a pretty extensive record in the political arena. Yeah, so I'm voting for the coconut. We exist in the context. Challenge anyone to have a legitimate reason to disagree. when we're talking about the debt, I also want to mention that it is a complicated issue that isn't just the president's fault. I do want to mention that. However, if the president is going to take credit for an economy when it's doing well, then they also need to take blame when the economy is doing badly. And it does say here that roughly 2/3 of the 10-year debt came from bipartisan legislation. So that means it is both sides that approved the majority of the debt. But it does say that a third came from, only a third of President Biden's came from bipartisan. Interesting. We also like to talk about executive orders and executive actions. And it says right here that President Trump's executive actions added less than $20 billion to the 10-year debt on net, whereas President Biden's executive actions have added $1.2 trillion to 10-year debt so far. So that means out of the $4 trillion of net spending that Biden approved, $1 trillion of it was due to executive action. That means that he himself did direct action. It sounds to me like President Biden was actually stronger than President Trump. That being said, this is an issue for Biden as well. The president's budget was on average 39 days late under President Trump and 58 days late under President Biden. It shouldn't be late at all. It should not be late for either president. I could definitely understand a day late, a couple days late, here and there for a major project, for a major issue. But if you are on average over a month late, that is insane. That is absolutely insane. Can I get a bunch of hearts in the chat for which side you're voting for? I do like the way that this graph is broken down. You can see exactly how much each set of actions is costing us taxpayers. And the 10-year impact with interest is definitely key. Because anything that the president puts out is a complicated decision, and it's going to take years to actually take effect. All right, everybody joining in, please let me know who you're voting for and why you disagree with the opposition. Also, please do not send me roses or galaxies or any of that stuff. All that stuff costs money. I don't want that. I don't want you to be spending money. Just do what is free. It boosts my engagement. Thank you very much. Also, share, favorite, follow, all of that stuff. One thing that's definitely frustrating me is that previous mismanagement of our military industrial complex has led to massive amounts of veterans being exposed to chemicals that has now led to the PACT Act, which increased our budget by $520 billion. That could have been prevented if they weren't exposed to toxic substances in the first place. And this is definitely something that needs to be looked at. We need to be reducing our dependence on the military-industrial complex. Otherwise, we're going to keep seeing our veteran costs rising as a direct result of our overspending on weapons infrastructure. Hope everybody watching is having a good day. Talking about politics in the American system.